Cadbury.
Speaker, it's a pleasure to follow so many eloquent and some long contributions today. Now, I wonder how many arch Brexiteers have actually spoken to people who work in or run businesses to learn about the impact of not only Brexit, but the uncertainty about Brexit and how it's impacting right now on those decisions in their constituencies. Well, I have, so I'm going to share with the House just two examples. I would have covered more, but I've had to cut my speech as the second half of the afternoon has progressed. One specific small company and one major sector. So an SME, a research company. The owner, who remains anonymous, but wanted me to know that he runs a small business. He says, I've already lost out because of Brexit due to the drop in sterling, putting up the cost of our cloud computing by 20% and uncertainty over future research funding. There are lots of detailed questions for my business that I've no idea how to answer, and I don't have the armies of lawyers and accountants to work for me to tell me. So much for the Tories cutting red tape. Such as, if there is a hard Brexit, will there be an uninterrupted service from all the cloud computing currently supplied via companies based in Ireland? Will I be able to access all my data and information on day one? Or need new customs clearance or change my data protection setup? Will cloud computing be treated as an import with tariffs and therefore add to my operating costs and accounting costs as I grapple with new HMRC rules? These are things that could tip my very small, struggling business over the edge. I'm sure we're not the only vulnerable SME, he says. He goes on. More generally, MPs say they will protect jobs. In my sector, income rather than jobs is already moving, judging by conversations I'm having with partners in my networks. Contingency plans are already being enacted by SMEs. I know of companies who have set up offices in mainland EU and are starting to channel work through there, even if it's UK-based staff doing it for now. I'm being paid in the euro for some work that previously would have been in sterling, which exposes me to risks I can't offset. This is all completely legal. And two of my most talented EU colleagues have left the UK because they don't feel welcome. They both lived here as children, but having become parents themselves, believe the situation is too uncertain to keep their roots here. In my view, he says, the loss to Britain will be this invisible drip of lost talent and money, rather than announcements of big job losses by big employers, and will only become apparent when it's too late. And my second example, Mr. Speaker, my constituency is home to a large number of broadcast organisations, household names such as Sky, and a myriad of others, many of whose main market isn't even in the UK. And many of my constituents work in broadcasting, including a few household names. Now, the UK dominates Europe's broadcasting sector due to the availability of skilled employees and English being the dominant language in the industry. Thanks to the country being the country of origin principle, hundreds of international media organisations are based here and can broadcast to anywhere in the UK without restriction. The trade organisation COBA fear, I quote, international broadcasters based here would reluctantly be forced to restructure their European operations. This is particularly with a hard Brexit. And they said a month ago that Brexit could cost the TV market £1 billion a year in investment, put thousands of jobs in the UK broadcasting sector at risk, and would undermine the sector's long-term global competitiveness. And they go on to say, like many sectors, broadcasters cannot wait until the cliff edge of March 2019 to make decisions about the future of their European businesses. So, Mr. Speaker, if no deal is not the government's intention now, these companies are having to make risk assessments, divert management resources into contingency planning, and even decide the risk that no deal is too great. They will jump ship anyway, taking jobs and investment with them. This means additional cost on otherwise unnecessary contingency planning, diversion of management time and energy, or just cutting and running. These are the real impacts of Brexit now. Multiply this by tens of sectors, hundreds of thousands of businesses, making millions of decisions about the future. This is what is leading to the UK tumbling down the international growth tables, undermines government income that funds our vital public services, and, as looks increasingly likely, makes our constituents poorer. The government must wake up and focus not on the outliers in their own party, but start focusing on the economic prospects of the UK and its place in the world. Thank you.